Pacers drop game 5. They're on the brink in the NBA Finals. It's 3-2 Thunder. Pacers have to win 2 straight to win the championship. Man, did they stink at the little things today. Tyrese Haliburton not good enough and hurt. So much to clean up in Indy. And we'll talk about it all today on the Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Tony East here in the Paycom Center. I'm the host of Locked On Pacers, covering the team for Forbes. And today, so much to get to as we talk about the Indiana Pacers and their NBA Finals Game 5 defeat to the Oklahoma City Thunder, a game that was within 2 in the fourth quarter, and then everything went wrong for the Pacers after that, and a very fitting summary of their entire game. They could get close, they could go on runs, and the second they had a grip on momentum, they tripped all over their own feet and gave the game right back to Oklahoma City and could not do anything about it over and over and over again, a culmination of just awful little things. So many of them went wrong for the Pacers. That is what I feel like the theme of the game is. And there are so many that you could go to. In fact, you could listen to 10 Pacers podcasts today. All of them could lead with a different thing that went wrong for the Pacers, and all of them would be justified in saying it was the biggest thing of the game. And that's why I'm going to lump them all into a pile of little things that became big things. And what I mean by that is 20 whatever turnovers, 23. I've seen 23 and 22 in different box scores, which is why I said 20 whenever, is so many. 1 turnover is a little thing that they need to clean up. 20-something turnovers is a big thing. And that is what a lot of Pacers players led with as their key reason for defeat in this game. And it felt a lot like game 1 outside of the comeback actually completing in game 1, in that some of these Pacers turnovers are Thunder forced. This is what the Thunder do. I tried to tell you guys this before the series, and I think most people understood that this is what the Thunder do. And even when teams say, we know the Thunder are going to turn us over, it's what they do. And they tell you every game, hey, we need to be better at this or that. They can't. The Thunder are good at them. And I would say, I'll make this up off the top of my head, 14, 15 of the Pacers turnovers were that. The Thunder doing something in particular so effectively that it led to a Pacers turnover. And on those, sometimes it's just like, okay, that's what they do. You don't want to live with it as the Pacers. You'd like to have 0 turnovers. But I understand those happening and why they're a part of playing the Thunder. The other 8 or 9 or whatever are just disaster, lack of attention, lack of focus, what is going on stuff for the Pacers. And that's what reminded me of game 1. In game 1, Obi Toppin's thrown it into the backcourt. TJ McConnell's launching it over his teammates' heads. Those kind of turnovers that just make you go, what is going on? Is there a mental blockade here? Is there a lack of focus? I don't think it's a lack of focus. It's the finals. It's just sloppy plays. And the one that will stick out in my head from this game forever, just like TJ McConnell sailing it over the heads in game 1, is an Andrew Nembhard turnover, of which he had many in the second half that I'm sure he just is kicking himself for. The Pacers cut it to 2. 95-93, I believe, was the score after a huge Siakam 3 in the fourth quarter. J-Dub hits a 3 on the other end after an OKC offensive rebound, by the way. That was tough. And Andrew Nembhard has it. 8 minutes to go, 5-point game. Pacers in rhythm with the momentum. And he turns to pass it to Tyrese Haliburton. At the same time, Tyrese Haliburton tries to cut towards the basket to beat his defender. And Andrew Nembhard throws it into the backcourt. Alex Caruso hasn't shifted directions enough yet. He gets an easy steal. Cason Wallace has not shifted directions yet. He gets an easy steal. He dunks. The Thunder go up 7 right after the Pacers' highest point of the game since the first quarter leads, right? 43 seconds after they cut it to 2, that play happened. And that's what made Nembhard's turnovers to me so jarring. That was only his second one of the game. He finished with several. He was taking care of the ball until I think late in the third quarter. The Pacers had it to 6. He had another one go sailing out of bounds with 16 seconds to go. J-Dub gets a pull up on the other end. That was a very tough shot. It gets to 8 by the end of the quarter. And so the Pacers having a chance to cut it to 4, right? His turnovers were rough in terms of the timing in this game. And I think that was what made his feel so much more significant than other guys, even though lots of other guys had rough turnovers in this game. But yeah, the timing of his really stood out to me. The one right after J-Dub hits a floater to cut it to 8, the Thunder immediately get it to 10. After that one, another one right after a Pacers timeout, right? Like they just felt huge in moments. And that's not even to pick on him. His just felt more significant, even though he didn't lead the team in them. But that one where him and Haliburton were so disconnected, a microcosm of their turnover struggles today. 6 from Siakam, butterfingers from him early on passes, on catches, on everything, right? It was very peculiar how many turnovers he had early in this game. And I will get to my early game thesis of what went wrong for the Pacers, of which there were many things. But I saw something in this game that I've never seen happen to them before. But anyway, little thing number one that became a big thing because of the sheer volume of the error is turnovers, especially in the backcourt when they were rallying back. Siakam's turnovers don't feel significant to a lot of people because they came early in the game. That shouldn't be the case. But as the Pacers cut it to 2, it was Haliburton turnovers, Nembhard turnovers, even McConnell turnovers, those 3 combining for 10 of the Pacers 20, whatever. I still don't have perfect clarity on that. And that is just crushing. Thing 2 that I would say is a little thing becoming a big thing is Tyrese Haliburton. And it's a little thing in that in this series, they've survived him having 14, 15, whatever points and being able to win or be competitive. He had 22 in their win in game 3 when they were at their best in the series. He won game 1 on a shot to get him to, I believe, 14. 0 made shots in this game. 0. That becomes a big thing. Here's what I think about this game. 1, can't happen, right? We go through this dance every time. People make fun of me because I say over and over, it can't happen. He has to be better. But, and then I go on this long soliloquy of like, another part of it. So I'm going to do the same thing. He has to be better. But 1, clearly hurt. People are going to use the excuse card. Watch him. He's limping. He went back with a trainer for part of the game. He's standing as a decoy in the game. He comes out for TJ McConnell with 2 minutes to go till halftime. He comes out early for McConnell in the third quarter. And I will talk about that. I know many people have frustrations with that rotational decision. The Pacers are making clear choices that he's hurt. It's not just lip service, and it's not lip service when Rick Carlisle says they were considering shutting him down at halftime. He said if he can walk, he's playing. It's the finals. That's all great. He is still valuable as a decoy. I know his minutes went poorly for the Pacers. He was a minus 16, but like Lou Dort is guarding him. He is a good catch and shoot player. He does have that kind of value. Their offense was okay with him on the floor. His defense was not very good. He had 3 turnovers. He had 6 assists. He was second on the team in rebounding, right? He wasn't like so ineffective because of the gravity he has, but obviously he was extremely ineffective and not even close to the star level that he needs to be. And so that can be a little thing. In the series, they have won a game where he was not particularly effective, and they found ways to succeed when he hasn't been at his best, but he has to be much better than that. They don't have much of a chance if he's hobbled again in game 6. They haven't found a way to score enough as is, right? They didn't hit that 110 mark in this game. It wouldn't have mattered. Their defense wasn't good enough. But Tyrese Haliburton, thing 2. Thing 3, J-Dub. Oh, man. This guy is flying up my earn my respect rankings. Was in games 1 and 2 of the series, has been balling ever since. Making a finals MVP case. I don't think he'd win it. I think Shea would. But holy smokes, 40 points. 3 threes, tough runners, floaters, bank shots, fadeaways through the last 3 games. And he's just making them look comfortable and easy, skating into the paint, using his size, turn, shoot. Guy that showed that he played point guard at previous levels is showing it on the biggest stage as he beats guys off the dribble. And he's being guarded by good players on the Pacers. And he's just making them pay over and over and over again, making these tough shots, 12 free throw attempts, 40 points. They could have lived with him scoring in the high 20s like he has earlier in the series. They've won games when he scored in the high 20s in the series. 40. Whew. That was the first time in the first quarter of this game, and at times with J-Dub throughout the second half, was the first time I felt like the Pacers defense was not good enough for them to win in this series. I felt like most of the time their defense has been close to good enough, and their offense, albeit against an amazing defense, has been more so the side of the ball where they need to be a little bit better. Today, I thought their defense, albeit some of that coming from their turnovers, was problematic, and J-Dub was the face of that. The slow start. Another one, this time against the Isaiah Hartenstein starting lineup for the first time. Who knows how this game could have looked if the Pacers didn't start so dreadfully. They went up like 12-10 or something like that, early 12-11 after a Nesmith 3. And then by the middle of the quarter, it was 24. They were up 24-14, I believe the Thunder were. Timeout Pacers. They try to claw back in. They kind of can't. They're down 10 again late in the quarter. Like just a dreadful start. They were down 10 after the first quarter. They lost the game by 11, right? You want to tell me that didn't matter? Like they were even with the Thunder basically for the last 3 quarters of the game, minus a point. Like that start was awful, just awful. And that is when Siakam was having some Butterfingers moments and they weren't able to make shots. And the Thunder were 4 for 5 from 3, I believe, to start the game. And they weren't good. That's when I felt like the Pacers weren't good enough on defense. Slow starts have been a problem for the Pacers in this playoffs. They've been this comeback team. They can't be the comeback team today. They were close. They got up to 2 in the fourth quarter. They're never out of a game, but just not good enough to start the game. That's a little thing that became a big thing. The J-Dub stuff was a big thing, little thing that became a big thing. Haliburton, that's probably a big thing, but a little thing that became a big thing just for the theme. Points off turnovers. Like in game 1, they had a bunch of turnovers, but they limited OKC's effectiveness off of them. In this game, the opposite, was true, where there was a bunch of turnovers, and OKC scored 32 points from them. So the transition defense wasn't at the level it needed to be. Offensive rebounds, it was 18 for the Pacers, 19 for the Thunder. Both teams crashing a little harder as an adjustment. 17 second chance points for the Thunder. Just so many little things that became big things because of the sheer volume of their effectiveness in this game that the Pacers could not overcome. And they lose by 11, and they were close in the fourth quarter, down 2 with 8 or whatever minutes to go. You can say they lose by 11, but like that is a close enough game that if all those little things shift a little bit more in the Pacers' favor, they might be up 6 or 8 at that time. Who knows how the game is different at that point in time. They have so much to clean up. When I was talking to them 2 days ago, if you watched or heard the interviews on this channel that I posted, so many of them talked about the end of game 4, which is now so haunting as they're down 3-2, as little things were the problem for them there. All those little things were huge problems today. Huge problems for the Pacers. They dug their own grave with those little things. You cannot beat yourself against the Thunder. And they did it again. And the Thunder obviously beat them too. They were excellent in many ways in this game. J-Dub was terrific. They forced a lot of turnovers. But the Pacers have to be much, much, much better. They have to find a way to get Haliburton to be a little more effective than that if this is the state he's in. And they have a lot more to look at. We'll talk about Haliburton, the decision not to play McConnell in the fourth quarter. So much more about this loss for the Pacers. Sloppy, untimely plays, and something about this game that I think was the first time it happened in the Pacers All Playoffs, coming up here on Locked On Pacers. Before we do that, though, I need to tell you guys about FanDuel, the NBA Finals. It's in full swing every night. It's delivering highlight-worthy performances like a sweet knees dunk tonight. Major momentum shifts, can't miss moments, whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player. There's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. You can track who's having these kind of games, who's going to show up on the big moments. And if you track their trends, it can help you build your next big bet. If you combine live prop bets mid-game, what would it look like? If you're watching how the action unfolds, dive in. If you've got a read on who's heating up, why not back it up with a same-game parlay? And how could $200 in bonus bets add to the excitement if your first $5 bet hits? Because that's the offer if you're new to FanDuel. It's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com, place your first $5 bet. If it wins, guess what? Bam! $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Back here on Locked On Pacers, thanks for making me your first listen today and every single day. Make your second listen Locked On Thunder. Island Styles still here somewhere recording on what I would imagine he would be saying a huge game for the Thunder and their franchise. We'll talk to him tomorrow night, Tuesday night. That'll come out Wednesday. Oh, man, the Pacers. So many things. A lot of rotational questions about the Pacers in this game. Let's talk about TJ McConnell. So let me first say this. I'm calling you all out, right? The bench group there was late third quarter, and everybody says, oh, why is Rick riding this group? Why is he putting him in? Why is he keeping him in so long? Nobody said that today because they're playing low. You only say that when they play bad. Just keep the required thing on the process of choosing the rotation, not the results of what they were doing. And then people got mad this time that McConnell came out of the game, and I get why. He was awesome in the third quarter. He got called for an illegal screen on Lou Dort somehow, like a way bigger dude than him. And then just balled out, made a bunch of shots in a row. He was amazing. So let's talk about that. First of all, being good since game 3 has been huge for the Pacers. I wondered how his effectiveness would change. He made 8 shots in this game. That was the second most on the Pacers. He took 14. That was the second most on the Pacers, and he should. 18 points for him in this game. Awesome TJ McConnell game. 22 minutes. That led the Pacers off the bench, plus 4. He doesn't play much more than that, like ever. Right. And I don't mean that to give Rick any sort of pass, because I think he probably should have come back in at some point. But I'll tell you what Rick said after the game. But in that quarter, he was hooping. Man, that was a crazy stretch for TJ McConnell. Those shots that only he makes, faders, drilling them from, the elbow, getting to the basket when he could, hitting the layups, making the pesky defensive plays, hit along too. Like, he was just awesome on offense. That was a huge part of the Pacers' comeback. So let's talk about the first thing that's a part of the relevance of his minutes in this game, right? He came in earlier than normal in the third quarter. And that, I think this is part of the Tyrese Haliburton injury thing. He came in with 6:40 to go, over half the frame left of the third quarter. He usually comes in at like the 3-minute mark of quarters. I'm going to try to find his first quarter sub. Actually, was kind of early too. It came at 5:35. What am I talking about? But usually it does come a little later. It did not in this case today. And so he played all that final 6 minutes and then some of the start of the fourth. And He came out to start the fourth with 10:50 to go, and the Pacers were down 8. And then the starters pushed really hard and did really well. Haliburton and Nesmith came in with the Pacers down 10 with 10:50 to go. That group cut it to 8. So here's what I think. One, I would have put TJ McConnell back in at some point in the fourth quarter as the Pacers, probably for Andrew Nembhard, honestly. It would have been tough because they were having troubles with McConnell defending J-Dub throughout the game or doing other things. They actually took him off of J-Dub to put Mathurin on there. Like, they would have had to hide him on defense somehow, and that's certainly a challenge. But I think they needed to get back to him in some way, whether that's for Nembhard or even for Haliburton with the struggles he was having. Regardless, he played a lot longer of a stint. Not a lot longer. He played a little bit longer of a stint than normal in that third quarter. And when Carlisle was asked about bringing him back in, he said he was great, put him in earlier than normal. He was very tired. That's why we got him out. And then he said there was a play in the fourth where it looked like fatigue had set in there. I think he's referring to a missed layup that he had pretty early in that quarter. Yeah, he had to travel with like 11-12 to go, and they took him out. So I think that's what he's referring to. And so the other part of this that people seem to just be completely overlooking, the starters were good. They cut it to 2 at 93-95. OKC's timeout comes a little before that. I don't remember exactly when they actually called timeout. And that's when Nembhard came out and Siakam came out. And that's what I think. I mean, the Thunder already had got it to 7 before that sub. And Tony Bradley came out because Isaiah Hartenstein exited, and they were minutes matching those two today. Mathurin came in at that time, right? That's something you wonder. As Nembhard came out there was 7:47 to go, so McConnell only been out for like 2 minutes. Could that have been a time to get him in, right? When they brought Mathurin back in later, when they brought Nembhard back in later, could that have been a time to do it? I think that was like at the 6-minute mark. Yeah, 6:14. They brought Siakam back in. Like, could that have been a time to do it? You know, there were chances to get him in, and I would have tried to as Rick Carlisle and the Pacers. But I actually understand for most of the quarter, I would say until about the 4 to 6 minute mark, why they did not. But he was obviously awesome. He was their most effective scorer off the bench by far. They've needed good bench play to stay afloat in this series, and they just didn't get back to him. Mathurin was 2 of 11, right? He hasn't really picked up that game 3 magic since it happened, and you know, they need more from their bench outside of just McConnell going crazy. Toppin was fine. He's had a nice series, but it might be over for Shepherd in the series. I can't remember I have it in my notes somewhere. Oh yeah, he had an overpassing mistake for a turnover. He was at the basket, kind of had a layup. He overpassed and turned it over. And I actually put in my notes, man, he might be done for the finals. He only played 6 minutes. Mathurin is missing shots. Toppin was okay, efficient too. Tony Bradley actually played totally fine. Like, I don't have a lot to say about that. I think it was a good choice. He boxed out Hartenstein, got 4 boards. Regardless, they need more from their bench, and McConnell was excellent, and I think that could have been the way to get more from their bench, is put him back in the fourth, especially with the Haliburton game that we saw, right? If he's hurt, do they really need to play him 34 minutes? Like, what's the right way to handle this, right? If he's got a calf thing that's just making him this player, 6 assists is great. Like, he's not totally ineffective. He's being guarded by Dort away from the play, but he's totally not close to, not even within the realm of the Tyrese Haliburton that can exist. And so, you know, whatever it takes to get him there, they have to try to do it in the next 2 days. They do have 2 days off. They don't play till Thursday, but that was something a lot of people were talking about, is that sub, and that didn't happen for McConnell in the fourth. Carlisle did explain this to the game. The other thing that happened in this game that was jarring to me, for the first time in the playoffs, I felt like the Pacers got sped up. Every game that they lose like this, they always talk about, we need to speed up, we need to get our pace back, we need to get our tempo. And that's true in some ways. But in this case, pace was actually them playing too fast. Believe it or not, I tweeted this and people really liked the way I phrased it. I think I just got lucky, but like, they had a lot of desync turnovers, like the Nembhard one in the first half, a lot of turnovers because they were playing too fast, too rapid, where it was so ironic to see them play that way. I'm trying to find the exact way that I put it, but scrolling through I tweet too much during games. I'm so sorry. But it was jarring to see them playing with those sort of issues in that game. I said, ironic, the Pacers have multiple turnovers coming because of a fear of mistakes, overpassing or forcing the typical right play. They seem both tight and sloppy, mind working faster than body. Thunder were up 12 at that time. Right, they had a Myles Turner turnover that I felt like was them, like, you know, thinking a little too hard, right? Didn't need to swing it to the other side. Just take the shot. He was open for a 3 and he overpassed it, right? I mentioned the Shepherd one already. He's under the rim, got a layup, and he kicked out of it. Like, it was a tough layup. Like, take the shots. Like, they're really overthinking in those moments. And I think part of the thinking there is, don't make mistakes, right? The Thunder defense is so good. They don't want to make mistakes. And they were making mistakes because of that, right? It's so hard to just naturally play when you have to think a lot while you're playing. And I think they do because it's the finals. Think a lot and play their way. But because of the mind movement, I think it took them out of their pace, and they were playing so fast, trying to play fast, made them play too fast. They really settled in the second half. Like, every game of this series, they've had 60 points in a half of the game. Today they had 64 in the second half. That's why they had a chance. And so it makes you wonder, how did that happen? I've never seen that happen to the Pacers. And I think OKC did a lot of it with their defense and their defensive pressure. I think the Pacers did a lot of that to themselves, right? And that really needs to clean up in the next game, because I've never seen them be too fast in a game before. Finding natural tempo is not easy, but they've done it time and time again. Now they find themselves in a new situation, losing in a series. It's not over. It's the finals. They've been in a game 6 down 3-2 before. They're at home. What's it going to look like? What's it going to feel like? Can they do this? So much more to get to close out today's Locked On Pacers. Back here on Locked On Pacers, thanks for making me our first listen today and every single day. Still here in the Paycom Center, talking Pacers Thunder Game 5. Make your second listen Locked On Magic. They have Desmond Bane now. That's actually a sweet fit. A threatening team in the East next year, perhaps, or Locked On Grizzlies. They don't have Desmond Bane. They have a crap ton of picks and 2 actually kind of good players. I love that trade for both teams, ironically. Check out those for your second listen today to hear more on that trade. And obviously, there's a million ways to go. If you want to hear the latest on Kevin Durant, Giannis, the offseason, it's happening. The draft is like a week away. Okay, let's keep going here in Pacerland. I already talked about they need more from their bench. I don't think people agree with me on this one. I actually thought Myles Turner played an okay game outside of passing up some shots, but he goes 3 for 5. He is fulcrum-y in these games in a way that's really important, right? He's swinging the ball side to side. He's setting better screens as the series goes on. I think that's been important for the Pacers getting their offense going, is side-to-side movement against his really good Thunder defense has helped them a lot. They got Nesmith making shots. He was 5 for 9. That's why all this guard play stuff and their bench falling off hurt so much, because it was the opposite problems they were having earlier in this series, right? If they got this Nesmith game and or this Turner game in game 4, it's 3-2 Pacers right now, right? They've missed each other with the timing of their good performances from good starting role players and the timing of their good performances from their bench players. And obviously Haliburton needed to be better. Siakam was quite good for a lot of this game outside of the turnovers. There's a lot to focus on in that way. And there it is. For the first time in over 3 months, the Pacers have lost consecutive games. The Thunder are mighty. The final stage is hit. Players are banged up and they're not playing at their best because the Thunder are so good. And it happened. And now that stat is gone. And now if they keep doing that, stat is gone. And yet here they are. 2 games for the finals. One's at home. And it's so easy to tuck yourself into as anyone and say, well, they have a home game for game 6. They were the better team in game 3 and 4, even though they didn't win both. If they win game 6, who knows what happens in a game 7? Right? There hasn't been a game 7 in the finals in a long time. But who knows? You just never know. And I even bookmarked a tweet. I'll pull it up. In recent vintage, the 2013 Spurs lost game 7 after going up 3-2 in the finals. The 2010 Celtics lost in game 7 after going up 3-2 on the Lakers, right? A lot of the teams to win game 5 win it all. The Warriors, the Bucks, the Warriors again in 15. Don't get me wrong. The Pacers are certainly not the favorites. They're the underdogs. But they talk a lot about being the underdogs and how they can climb out of that hole. I'm not saying this is any sort of cope or anything. They're clearly the underdogs for a reason. The Thunder are very good, and the Pacers have not played their best. Maybe in a single game this series, they haven't shot it very well. But it's definitely not over. You never know what's going to happen in a game 7. You have a game at home. It's so easy to talk yourself into that line being there. That said, it's a huge mental battle, right? This is the first time they've lost consecutive games in 3 months. They have to fight through that. They have to fight through knowing that game 4 happened. That one's going to claw at them forever and ever and ever. They have to fight through knowing that their opportunities were there in this game, down 2 in the 4th quarter, and they started to throw it away, right? They have to fight themselves. And that's where the mental battle that I've been talking about comes so much into play. Right now, the Thunder are winning it, quite frankly, right? They've been more poised at home. They took a game late. They stole the Pacers' dark magic in that game 4. And that's where the Pacers find themselves now, is in that situation. Many people will say it's over. Maybe they're right. But I saw the Pacers last year get thumped in game 5 by the New York Knicks in New York. They came back home for game 6 and kicked the Knicks' butts. And they went to MSG for game 7, and everybody said, they can't win an MSG. It's game 7 on the road. They can't do it. And then they had a franchise record-setting field goal performance game and ran the Knicks out of there and then won an MSG again twice this year, right? You just never know with this team. You have no idea. I have no idea. I think that one team has played better so far, and that team that's played better should be the favorites to win. But that does not mean they're going to win, and that does not mean that the Pacers will hold their heads down, because they know what they can do at their best. They know what adjustments they're capable of, and they have to execute them now, and that's where they find themselves. Mentally, they have to do that, and on the court, they have a lot to improve. I talked about the many little things, but a lot of players had a stain on their game today. Right, Aaron Nesmith goes 4 for 5 from deep. Welcome to the series with the shooting. 5 fouls. Pascal Siakam, 9 for 15. That's great. 6 turnovers. Myles Turner, not good enough on the boards. Only took 5 shots. Passed up some open ones. Andrew Nembhard, 3 for 8. 4 turnovers. Tyrese Haliburton, do I need to say it? 0 made shots. Ben Shepherd goes 0 for 0 with a turnover. Obi Toppin, he didn't have as many blemishes. His defense needs to be better. His awareness on defense needs to be better. Bennedict Mathurin missed 9 shots. TJ McConnell had 3 turnovers and 3 fouls. Tony Bradley had 3 fouls, although he didn't have a lot of blemishes either. He actually fought pretty hard. He lost a few boards, but did better than anyone else has done all series, right? Everybody who played, even ones who had good games or good moments, has something or things they can do better. And they've got to leave it all out there in a Game 6 in Indy because the Pacers' offensive process just wasn't there. It wasn't good enough. Their defense, for the first time all series, I felt like their defense wasn't at the level it needs to be to win games on the finals setting or against the Thunder. The turnovers were brutal. OKC was hot from 3. The Pacers haven't shot it well in a while. I think since I don't know how often in the finals it's happened at all, right? Their starters as a unit weren't even that good. They came in down 13 in the second quarter, chance to cut it in before halftime. The Pacers were down even more when halftime came. I have so many things I could say about the Pacers needing to be better, but you all saw it. And I talked about the little things that have to improve. They all saw it. They all felt it, and they know. Last couple things to run through the notebook. If you want another play to note Tyrese Haliburton's injury and what he's not capable of doing with the calf that he has, about 10:30 to go in the third quarter, he drives. He gets deep into the teeth of the paint, and then he tries to turn around almost like he did in the miracle shots over Ty Jerome and against the Knicks, where he runs back to the three-point line. And he turns around to dribble, and he can't run away. He can't turn back quickly. And so he throws it out to a teammate, and he kind of jogs out of the play. That was one time where I thought, man, he does not have the same burst or cutting ability. Go watch that play again if you know how to, or if you can find it or on your tape, because that was the one where I noticed it the most. Is just like, man, he can't do anything. Aaron Nesmith is a great defensive player and a great player. He has got to defend J-Dub better. And it's such an easier said than done thing to say. But, man, that guy's killing everybody, including a great defender in Aaron Nesmith. And that's why he's earned my respect so much. He's playing so well. But the crossovers into the paint with these goofy shots, the tough at the rim shots, like they're kind of easy for him. He's got to be guarded better in a guard your yard kind of setting. And some of that falls on Nesmith, who has been guarding him all series. It's so weird to criticize Aaron Nesmith's defense. He's always going 110% and playing hard, but he has not provided enough resistance in that matchup. And you know we can. He's been amazing against good defenders, even in a postseason setting. But that was tough. Shout out to Tony Bradley for making plays in transition on defense and offense. He had a nice game again. I would expect that he actually probably would play in Game 6, although that's another thing to talk about, and I will on the next 2 podcasts before the game. Time to shorten the rotation. It's finals, facing elimination. I don't think Ben Shepherd's playing anymore. I'm guessing it goes down to 9 guys for the Pacers, maybe 8 if they don't even go to Tony Bradley and just go with Toppin, Turner, Siakam and run it for there. But every time the Pacers felt like they had answers, they had momentum, they got in their own way with a turnover or an offensive foul or a bad miss or just something that couldn't go their way, that couldn't stop J-Dub. They turned it over a million times. Their backcourt was a mess. The slow start, it all just added up. And so from 93-95 to down 3-2 in the series, Pacers have to pick up the pieces in Game 4 on Thursday in Indy. I will, of course, be there tomorrow on this podcast. Myself and Rylan Stiles, again, our 5th, 6th crossover in the last couple weeks talking about the series. He's the host of Locked on Thunder. I'll have a Pacers guest on Wednesday night into Thursday previewing Game 6. Pacers, huge game, one of their biggest games ever. Not as big as the last 3 that they've played, though. Can they extend it to 7? Will I be back in the Paycom Center? That is the question. You can find me at Tony R. East on Twitter and Blue Sky. This podcast is at Locked on Pacers on Twitter and Instagram. Back tomorrow talking more Pacers Thunder in the NBA Finals. Till then, everybody, have a wonderful day.